Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into a challenge that I think almost everyone who's learned English as a second language has faced at some point.
Oh, absolutely. It's that feeling, right?
Right.
You're listening to a native speaker, maybe watching a show or just chatting, and you understand the individual words, but when they speak at natural speed, it all just kind of blurs together.
Exactly. It sounds like one long fast sound. And then on the flip side, when you speak, maybe you feel like your English is grammatically correct, your pronunciation is okay technically, but it just doesn't have that smooth, natural flow. It can feel a little stiff.
Robotic, yeah.
Yeah, robotic compared to how native speakers sound.
You've hit the nail on the head. And genuinely, if you feel that way, you are not alone. This is like one of the biggest hurdles. And often it's not about needing more vocabulary or fixing grammar mistakes, It's because natural spoken English operates on a different set of principles than the more formal word-by-word English you often learn first.
It's like there's a hidden layer. Native speakers connect words, they shorten things, they use rhythm and intonation in specific ways. It's a whole different kind of music to the language.
Right. And our ears just aren't trained for it automatically. We spend time reading, writing, learning grammar rules, which is essential, of course. But the sound of real, spontaneous speech, full of these patterns, is something you have to specifically tune into.
But the really cool part is these are learnable skills. You can train your ears to catch those fast connections, and you can learn techniques to make your own speech sound more natural, more fluent, and, well, more confident.
And that's our mission today. We've dug into some great sources that unpack exactly how native speakers do this. We're going to look at why words connect and shorten, how focusing on the key words is kind of a superpower for understanding.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, and a really effective method for actively training your listening, something called shadowing.
Okay. And then we'll flip it and look at how you can apply these principles using English rhythm, those tricky contractions and reductions, how even using filler words can help, and how simply changing which word you stress can total change your meaning. It's pretty amazing.
It really is. Get ready to hear English in a slightly different way, and maybe even feel a shift in how you approach speaking it yourself. Let's dive into these sources.
Okay, so let's start with understanding. Why does English sound so fast sometimes? The biggest piece, from what our sources point out, is that native speakers usually don't speak word by word.
Nope, not at all. It's
Yeah.
all connected. They link words together to create a smoother flow. If you see a sentence written, there are clear spaces, right?
Right.
When you hear it spoken naturally, those spaces often just disappear, or the sounds blend across the word boundaries.
And a classic example that comes up everywhere is the phrase, "What do you want to do?"
Right. If you say it like you see it, slowly, it's what do you want to do?
Which is perfectly understandable, but you rarely hear it that way in casual conversation.
Exactly. At natural speed, that often becomes something like, oh, what do you want to do? See how much shorter and different that is. What do you links and changes sound to wadaya? And want to smoothly becomes wanna.
Wow.
It feels faster, but it's really just the sounds connecting and changing. Your ear has to learn to recognize these blended chunks.
Okay, so recognizing the chunks. Let's pull out a few more common ones the sources highlight. Think about asking, "Did you eat?"
Right. Instead of separating did you, the D and Y sounds often combine to make a J sound. So it comes out more like did you eat?
Did you eat? Yeah, I can hear that. Or the incredibly common, I don't know. My goodness. You almost never hear every word distinct there.
Or never. It almost always reduces to, I don't know. That's one of the most frequent reductions you'll hear. Super common.
I don't know. And explaining future plans like, "I'm going to go," that sentence gets shortened and linked naturally too, right?
It becomes I'm gonna go. The am contracts to I'm and going to, reduces to gonna.
I'm gonna go.
So a huge key to understanding faster English isn't necessarily speeding up your brain processing every word individually, but training your ear to recognize these patterns, recognizing that did you is did you, that I don't know is I don't know.
Right.
Once you hear them as these familiar chunks, English starts feeling less like a torrent of sound and more like, well, comprehensible speech.
Speaking of shortcuts and chunks, that brings us to reductions and contractions. This is another massive piece of why spoken English sounds different than written English, isn't it?
Absolutely. Reductions are when sounds get dropped or words are combined and shortened in really significant ways.
Yeah.
They are I mean, they're everywhere in spontaneous conversation.
Our sources point out some of the champions of reduction we mentioned. Want to, turning into wanna. You hear this constantly. I want to grab some coffee.
We're going to becoming gonna. What are you going to do tonight?
Yeah. Got often becomes gotta. I gotta run. I'm late.
We talked about, I don't know, becoming, well, I don't know. That's both a contraction and a reduction in practice, really.
And two more really common ones. Let me frequently reduces to lemme.
Oh, yeah. Let me see that.
Give me see that photo. And gimme becomes gimme. Hey, give me a hand with this, will ya?
Exactly. And this is where the confusion often happens for learners. If you're expecting to hear, let me help you, spoken slowly and clearly, but instead you hear, let me help you.
Let me help ya.
Yeah. Your brain might just register noise if it hasn't been trained to recognize that shortcut. You know the words, but not the sound they make when they're all smushed together naturally.
So actively training your ear to spot these common reductions and contractions is vital. The more you hear them, the less surprising they are, and the less fast English will feel because you're kind of decoding the shorthand.
And that ties in perfectly with the next important strategy, which is you do not need to catch every single word to understand the core meaning.
Oh, this was such a relief for me when I realized this wasn't just okay, but how it actually works. We feel this pressure, to understand 100% of the words.
But native speakers don't process every word either. Not consciously, anyway. Our brains naturally home in on the words that carry the main message. The nouns, the main verbs, the adjectives, adverbs.
The important stuff?
The important stuff. The connecting words like articles a, the prepositions to, for, auxiliary verbs is, was. They're often unstressed, said quickly, or reduced, because they provide grammatical structure but less core meaning.
Okay, listen to the sentence from the sources and try to notice which words naturally pop out. I was thinking about calling you yesterday.
Right. You hear the emphasis on thinking, calling, and yesterday. Even if you miss was, about, or you, catching those three stressed words gives you the entire essential meaning.
This person was thinking about calling you yesterday.
They're like the pillars holding up the sentence.
Exactly. Good analogy.
Another one, she's probably going to be late for the meeting. In natural speech, the stress would likely fall on probably, late, and meeting. If you hear just those three, you get the gist. But she'll probably be late for the meeting. The other words just connect them.
This is exactly what your brain does in your native language without you even thinking about it. You grab the key pieces. Applying this strategy to English, consciously trying to listen for those emphasized words can make a huge difference in your comprehension and reduce that feeling of needing to parse every single sound.
Okay, so we've talked about connected speech, reductions, stressed words. Now, how do you actually do the training? How do you make your ears catch this stuff automatically? Because knowing it is one thing.
Right, doing it is another. This is where a technique called shadowing comes in, and it's a real powerhouse, according to our sources, for training your ear for natural speed.
Shadowing is simple in concept, but it can be challenging to do. You listen to a native speaker, and you speak at the exact same time, like their shadow or echo.
Yeah.
You're trying to match their pronunciation, their speed, and especially their rhythm and flow.
And the magic happens because you're not translating or thinking about grammar. You're just trying to copy the sound. This forces your brain to process English at native speed and pick up those connections and reductions in the moment, real time.
Yeah. Here's the simple guide from the material. First, find a short audio clip. Something real, like a TV show clip, a YouTube video, part of a podcast interview. A minute or two is plenty.
Okay.
Second, listen to it once, all the way through, just to understand the main idea. Don't get hung up on details yet.
Got it.
Third, now play it again. And this time, speak at the same time as the speaker, or just a tiny fraction of a second behind them. Focus on matching their sound, their speed, and how they connect words.
Okay, so really mimic them.
Exactly. And fourth, crucially, don't try to say words separately. Try to copy the sound of the connected speech and reductions you hear. It's about mimicking the music, not reading the sheet music, if that makes sense.
It does. All right, let's try some together. We'll say the sentence slowly, then the faster, natural version, break it down, and then we'll give you a chance to try shadowing the natural version. Ready?
Let's do it. Example 1, casual conversation. Slow first. Hey, what are you doing this weekend?
Okay. Now, natural speed. Hey, what are you doing this weekend?
Hear that? The breakdown. What are you becomes what I ya, and doing often shortens to doing.
Okay, listen to the natural speed again and try to repeat right after me, mimicking the sound. Hey, what are you doing this weekend?
Your turn. Give it a shot. Short pause. How'd that feel?
A little weird maybe, but good practice.
Yeah. Example 2, asking for help. Slow speed. Can you help me with this?
Natural speed. Can you help me with this?
Write down can.
Yeah.
Introduce to can you and help me.
Mhm.
Often links sounded like, help me, help me.
Help me. Right. Listen and shadow the natural speed. Can you help me with this?
Now you. See if you can catch that yeah and help me. Short pause.
Okay, one more. Example 3, expressing surprise. Slow speed. I didn't know that.
Natural speed. I don't know that.
Oh yeah, big difference. Breakdown. Didn't reduces to done. And know that connects sounded like know that. Do know that.
Listen and shadow. I don't know that.
Give it a try. Short pause.
It feels a bit silly or awkward at first, right? Like you're talking over the person.
Totally.
But that's the point. It bypasses the analytical brain and goes straight to mimicking the sound, the flow.
Totally. Let's do one final practice drill. Straight into the fast natural speed. Listen and try to shadow. What are you going to do later?
That one combines a few. What you to would I and going to gonna, what a gonna.
Right. Now, hear that again and try to shadow the whole sentence. What I going to do later?
Short applause.
Awesome. Consistent shadowing, even just a few minutes daily, is probably one of the single best things you can do to improve your understanding of natural, faster English. Your ear gets tuned to the real sounds.
Absolutely. It's like resistance training for your listening skills. It really works.
Okay, so we've spent a solid chunk of time looking at how to train your ears to understand natural English. Now, let's flip the coin and focus on how you can sound more natural when you speak.
Because it's not just about getting the words and grammar right, is it? It's about having that flow, that musicality that makes you sound relaxed and confident, like a native speaker.
And that musicality is heavily driven by rhythm and intonation. Our sources emphasize that English doesn't have a flat rhythm where every syllable or word has equal weight. It's much more like a song with strong beats and weak beats.
Exactly. Some words get stressed, spoken louder, longer, or maybe higher in pitch because they are the key information. In other words, the less important ones grammatically are unstressed, said quickly and softly, almost skipped over sometimes.
If you say every word with the same emphasis, it sounds like a computer or a robot. Listen to this sentence said flatly. I really wanted to go, but I was too busy.
Yeah, that just doesn't sound like human speech in English, does it? Hear the difference with natural rhythm. I really wanted to go, but I was too busy.
You hear how wanted and too busy pop out. Those are the core ideas, so they carry the stress. The little words like, really, too, but I was, they get minimized, right? They're softer.
They really are.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try a couple focusing on stress. Listen and repeat after me, putting the stress where you hear it. I can't believe it. Stress on can't.
Your turn. I can't believe it. Short pause. Feel that emphasis.
And another, that's a great idea. Stress on great.
Listen and repeat. That's a great idea. Short pause.
Getting the feel for this up and down, strong and light rhythm adds so much expressiveness and, naturalness to your speech.
Building on that, let's talk again about contractions and reductions, but this time from the perspective of using them when you speak.
This is a big one. So many learners consciously avoid contractions like I'm or reductions like gonna because they feel informal. Or maybe they were taught to speak properly.
Right, like in writing.
Exactly. But in everyday conversation, not using them makes you sound unnatural and overly formal, stiff even.
It really does. Saying I am going to call her is perfectly correct grammatically, but saying I'm going to call her sounds so much more like how a native speaker would naturally say it. Just flows better.
Let's revisit some of those common ones, thinking about how to use them in your own speaking. Instead of I do not know, practice saying I don't know.
I don't know.
Instead of give me a second, try give me a sec.
Give me a sec. Yes.
Instead of let me think, try let me think.
Let me think. Okay.
Our sources had a good little quiz idea here. I'll say the more formal version, and then you say the natural, contracted, reduced version. How about that?
Okay, sounds good. Formal. I do not want to go there.
Now, how would you say that naturally? Short pause.
You'd probably say, I don't want to go there.
Right. Don't and wanna.
Exactly. Okay, another one. Formal. What do you think about this?
And the natural speed version. Short pause. That would typically be, what do you think about this? What do you?
Yeah.
Incorporating these into your active speaking takes practice, for sure, but it instantly makes your speech flow better and sound more authentic. It's like unlocking a fluency shortcut.
It really feels like it. Now, this next point might feel counterintuitive when you're trying to sound good using filler words and pauses.
I know. The goal is usually to speak flawlessly, right? No mistakes, no pauses.
But in real conversation, nobody speaks in perfect, uninterrupted, grammatically complete sentences all the time. It's just not how humans talk.
Exactly. Native speakers use filler words and pauses constantly, and it serves a purpose. It makes you sound more relaxed, less like you're giving a prepared speech, and crucially, it gives you a little thinking time, which we all need.
Totally. Trying to speak without any pauses or fillers at all can actually make you sound less natural or maybe a bit stressed, like you've memorized something.
Yeah. The common ones the sources mention are, well,
Hmm.
and in very casual chat, like, huh, though maybe use like sparingly if you're aiming for more formal situations.
Good point. Think about giving an opinion. Just saying I don't agree can feel very abrupt, maybe even rude, depending on the context.
Yeah, it can sound a little harsh, but softening it with a filler or two makes it sound much more conversational and less confrontational.
Hmm.
Well, I kind of see your point, but see, it softens the whole thing.
It really does.
Okay.
Let's try comparing a direct sentence to one with fillers. Direct. I think this is wrong.
Okay. Now, try adding some natural fillers and perhaps softening it a bit. Well, I think this might not be right. Practice using those yourself. Short pause.
It feels more gentle, doesn't it?
Don't feel like you need to eliminate all hesitation. Learning to use these naturally accepted fillers gives you breathing room and makes your speech sound much more relaxed and smooth.
Finally, this is one of my favorite points from the sources because it shows how much power is in your voice. Mastering sentence stress for meaning. The words don't change, but changing the stressed word totally changes the message.
This is crucial for both understanding the subtle nuances of native speakers and making sure your own meaning is crystal clear. Let's use the example from the sources. I didn't say she stole the money.
Okay, same words every time, but listen to how the meaning shifts when we stress different words. First, stressing didn't. I didn't say she stole the money.
Meaning. Someone else might have said it, but I definitely didn't. I deny saying it.
Okay, now stressing. Say. I didn't say she stole the money.
Meaning. I didn't state it directly. Maybe I implied it, maybe I hinted at it or wrote it down, but I didn't say it aloud.
Ah, sneaky. Okay, stressing. She. I didn't say she stole the money.
Meaning, I might have said someone stole the money, but I specifically did not say it was her who stole it. It implies someone else did.
Isn't that fascinating? 3 completely different meanings from the exact same string of words just by changing the stress. It's incredibly powerful.
It really highlights why listening for stress is so important for comprehension, and why controlling your own stress helps you express yourself accurately and avoid misunderstandings. Let's try one more example. She didn't call him.
Okay, stress on she. She didn't call him.
Meaning, someone else called him, but it wasn't her.
Okay, stress on didn't. She didn't call him.
Meaning, the call simply did not happen. She never called him. Flat denial.
And stress on call. She didn't call him.
Meaning, she communicated with him, but she didn't call him. Maybe she texted, maybe she emailed, maybe she visited in person.
Right. Understanding and practicing this control over sentence stress makes you sound so much more precise and confident in what you're saying.
Wow, we really did a deep dive there. It's clear that becoming fluent and natural in English involves these layers beneath just vocabulary and grammar, doesn't it?
Absolutely. For listening, remember to train your ears to catch connected speech and reductions. Practice focusing on those key stressed words instead of getting stuck on every little word.
And definitely give shadowing a try. It's a game changer for ear training. Really effective.
And for sounding natural yourself, work on the music of English, the rhythm and intonation. Actively use contractions and common reductions in your speaking. Don't be afraid of natural filler words and pauses. They actually help you sound authentic.
And pay attention to sentence stress to make your meaning shine through clearly.
The consistent message across all our sources is that this isn't a magic trick. It's a skill you build with practice. Consistent practice.
Exactly. The more you listen deliberately for these patterns and try to incorporate them into your own speech, the easier it gets and the more natural you'll feel and sound over time.
So let's wrap up with a challenge for you, something concrete you can do based on what we've discussed today.
Okay. Find a short audio clip of real spoken English. Think a minute or two from a show, interview, or podcast. Something authentic.
Listen to it a couple times. First time, just get the main idea, the gist of it. Second time, really listen for those specific things we talked about. Where words connect, where they get reduced, which words sound stressed, the overall rhythm and flow.
Now, here are two paths you can take for practice this week, depending on your focus. Option one, if you're focusing on listening training, try shadowing that clip. Play it and speak right after the speaker, focusing on matching their sound, speed, rhythm, and especially how they link words and reduce sounds.
And if the original's too fast?
Good point. See if you can find a way to slow the audio down slightly to start, maybe 0.75 speed, and gradually build up speed as you get more comfortable.
Okay. Option two, if you're focusing on sounding more natural, pick one technique from the sounding more natural section we talked about. Maybe it's practicing rhythm, maybe it's using contractions like gonna and wanna more.
Or consciously adding a filler word like well, or you know, when you pause naturally, or practicing saying a single sentence with different stresses to change the meaning.
Right. Record yourself speaking for a minute or two, maybe describing your day or talking about the audio clip, and focus only on incorporating that one specific technique. Don't try to do everything at once.
And for an extra layer, maybe you record yourself doing the practice and listen back. How close did you get to matching the original sound when shadowing? Did you actually use the filler word or the contraction you intended when you were speaking? Self-correction is powerful.
Give one of those challenges a shot this week. Pay attention to what you notice and what feels awkward or surprisingly easy. What specific connected phrases or reductions popped out at you when listening? Which technique felt the hardest to actually do when speaking? Just observe.
Definitely. Now, we've given you a toolbox for individual sounds, words, and sentences, how they connect and flow, but stepping back and thinking about real conversation. You've practiced the mechanics, but what happens when you're in a live dialogue and you suddenly just freeze?
Oh.
You don't know exactly what to say next or how to respond without an awkward silence. How do you handle that moment naturally?
Ugh, the dreaded pause. It happens even to native speakers, right?
All the time. So the provocative thought to leave you with today is this. How do you take these skills from mastering individual bits of speech and weave them together to keep the conversation flowing smoothly, navigate those moments where you need time to think, and truly sound like you're engaging naturally with another person?
It's kind of the next level, isn't it? Beyond just sounding right to actually interacting smoothly. Another frontier in sounding truly fluent and natural.
Indeed. But the foundation is right here in the sounds and rhythms we explored today. Keep practicing these. Training your ears and your voice is absolutely key.
Absolutely. Consistency makes all the difference here. Even short bursts of practice add up significantly over time.
We really hope this deep dive into the nuts and bolts of natural spoken English has been valuable in giving you some practical ways forward.
Keep experimenting, keep listening actively, and keep practicing these techniques. You're definitely on the right track.
Keep training your ears, keep practicing your voice, and keep going strong on your English journey.